Should we display that already?
Yeah, so let's wait for a couple of minutes, then we'll start.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, just a quick question. How about Sundays? Like, would you guys be interested in, working with us on Sundays? We're attending sessions and interacting with us like we do sessions on weekdays and Saturday. How many of you would be interested in participating in these sessions on Sundays as well? You can type in yes, you can type in no. These are the two options. Let's see. Just remember, the names that are saying yes will be taken up for case if you're not present on a Sunday. Oh, incredible. There's so many yeses. Professor, maybe we should give it a shot.
Yeah. So, Deepak, please have somebody in the team consolidate this data and
Yeah,
share with me.
yes, sir. Done.
So just a curiosity question. So how do you guys spend engineering students spend your Sunday time? So can somebody give the clue? How exactly you normally spend your Sunday time?
Yeah, what do you do on Sundays? So you started the answer with assignments.
Okay, let me see more answers, guys. How do you spend your Sundays? Reading novels and sleeping. That's it. Fantastic. Ritika wrote writing records. Okay. Chitti, spend time in full stack development. Nap, PPTs. What kind of PPTs, SRS? Washing clothes and doing assignment. Very, very important. I see my wife talking to my son. Have you washed your clothes every weekend? And he will miss all the time. Home maintenance. That's pretty nice. Anybody more exciting answer? Somebody plays sports, creating podcasts. Very nice. Okay, playing games and reading books. What kind of books, Chitti, you read? Tell us about that. Cricket, connect to new people and gaining contacts. Okay, Nama, Hima is saying it would be great to learn new things. Fantastic on Sunday. I have a question now. Nowadays, ChatGPT is in hype. Badminton, books, sir. Okay. Throw ball. Fantastic. Writing record. What does it mean? What kind of record do you write? Hostel jobs, academia, revision, online courses, movies, sleep. Fantastic. And a match coming Sunday. Oh, okay. That's fantastic. What kind of match? Lab records. Yeah. You guys also have you need to write the journals, the sessional journals that we used to write when we were engineering. So many interesting things you guys do. Fantastic. Yeah. So one thing is that apart from all those things that you guys do, of course, have fun also. Working on my conference paper. Okay. What paper are you writing? If you really want to share that with us. Okay. If chat GPT is there, why we are, I have a question when I sleep. Okay. That's interesting. So chat GPT is a machine learning based, algorithm, which gives the data based on what it has learned. So I don't know. There are questions in my mind about that. But then, yeah, it does solve a lot of problems. That I agree. Early alert on sleep. Okay. Apnea detection. Okay. Chat GPT will not replace developers. It will only be a add-on value created. Very interesting point that you are raising here, Avinash. This definitely has a lot of a lot of perspectives, and we have to see how exactly these things evolve. But then, yeah, there are questions for sure. Fantastic. ChatGPT is developing secure code. Yeah, so I was reading that the medical license exams are being passed by these algo-based tools with flying colors, right? So pretty. I think that is the beauty of tech evolution, guys, in my opinion. And you have to be ready. The first of all, what impact does it create? What are the positives? What are the negatives? Those things are anyway there. But in my opinion, any such technology, what really comes, we should be receiving them with the both hands open, and then act accordingly. Otherwise, if we are not receptive about these tech evolutions, then we as human race stop being what we are supposed to be, and that's how we have reached here in last several thousand years of human race civilization.
Absolutely. So guys, I think a lot of interest in ChatGPT. Our speaker will be speaking very soon. He also happened to add a comment while the conversation was going on. So
Yeah,
he
so we
will
have guys, Avinash
yeah.
here. Avinash will definitely talk to all of you on several important dimensions of ChatGPT as well, subject to what time permits us.
Yes.
But then, yeah, Avi being here, definitely he will cover a lot of things. So having said that, Deepak, why don't we get started now?
Absolutely. So before we begin, I just want to take a quick recap and tell everybody the incredible, amazing experience that we had in Chennai. And a lot of students here I know have been part of the on-ground Hackfest that happened in Chennai recently, and a lot of other students who couldn't join us, unfortunately, because of the limited number of seats we had. Even though, we did try to adjust a lot of people in the end, but I'm quite sure because the number of registrations were in a couple of thousands, and obviously we couldn't adjust all of you. So I would like to apologize for that, but at the same time, it's just the bandwidth limitation that we have. Uh, what what the experience that we had in Chennai, we just want to make sure that the students who gave us some incredible things to as a takeaway, as an experience, from the experience point of view. We will have a quick recap of that event. We will display a video, and before we do that, I just wanted to understand that that was just the start of this entire process. A lot of you were selected for presentation on stage, and a lot of you weren't selected, but that shouldn't stop you from working on your ideas, which Praveen sir has emphasized the entire time during the on-ground Hackfest. Okay, without any further ado, I would request my team member Deepak to just display the incredible video of Chennai Hackfest, from where and the incredible work that the entire team of students that did along with the IBC media team. Deepak, you can have the screen on video on the screen. Oh, wow. So goosebumps. I'm sure a lot of you would be reminiscing what happened on ground, and you'd be just taken back to that experience. First of all, thank you, Deepak, for playing that. We just had a quick run through down the memory lane. Yep, Arun says, wow, ye yadein taza ho gayi. Absolutely, same goes for us. All right, so without wasting any more time, I would now invite Praveen sir. Of course, you all know him. Today, he will be discussing about Web3 programming fundamentals. Praveen sir, once again, thank you for joining in. Would love to hear your thoughts on the same.
Deepak, I would request you to share the presentation, please. So while Deepak Gudam brings up the presentation, I think, guys, like I was saying, I definitely want to thank you all for being such a wonderful host in Chennai, and we loved being there. We definitely want to thank all of our sponsors. We want to thank our Tamil Nadu Skill Board, Nan Mudalwan. In fact, Mr. CEO himself being there on the last day, and all the administration of Tamil Nadu state government for making it such a huge success. And we are happy about it because we think we are making an impact in all of your career, and that's what is making us excited about all the program that we do for you. So let me take it forward. Uh, Go to the next slide. Let me try to recap what we did yesterday. In fact, what we have done in Chennai, and more so what we have done yesterday. So yesterday we talked about, of course, the program of CEP. We will have more, you will get to know more about them, as we move forward. But more than that, what I want to cover in today is basically, first of all, I want to thank Avinash, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Nitro Network, for having, joined us today. He will have fantastic. He has spent over decades in this industry, being in the helm of affairs. Have done his engineering from US, masters from US, and has done in some incredible jobs in building some state-of-the-art tech-based solutions, applications in Web 2 as well as in both in Web 3. So you all will be getting some very, very interesting perspectives from Avinash today. But before we get into that, uh, as I said earlier, blockchain is here to stay. Now, blockchain as a technology is very important, very disruptive. And the beauty of what we are going to be covering today is how are the Web 2 stacks getting fused with the Web 3 stacks and coming up with a completely new paradigm of applications, which empowers the end users, which empowers the community, and which empowers the whole ecosystem growth. Let me repeat, there are so many tech stacks which are existing today, be it cloud, be it databases, we have centralized databases, we have the storage, we have the memory, we have compute. There is a certain way in which the evolution of technology has happened in these directions, in these spaces. And in fact, people here like Avinash and myself, we have been witness of that technology growth evolution. In fact, I have also seen the time when things were completely centralized. Companies used to buy, and I have done it myself when I was working for companies like Tata Steel and others. I have spent millions of dollars in acquiring servers to be kept in the basement of the office, and 20% of that server capacity was being used, 80% was unused. Then came, solutions like AWS. Then came solutions like Google GCP. Then solutions came like Azure from Microsoft. They transformed the way businesses are done. They made the business so effective and cost effective and optimal that people forgot building, buying these heavy boot servers. In fact, I'll go to the extent saying that the pace with which the startups started becoming so rampant everywhere, because they all were able to do their job by spending hundreds and thousands of dollars in just going and hiring one small virtual machine in any of these cloud solutions. Now, when you get the transition from that time to the time which Web3 is offering, now there is a fundamental shift in the way we look at things. And in fact, like I was saying earlier, these fundamental shifts are very important for the entire human race. You cannot say that now I have reached a point where I have got this is nirvana state. I don't want anything else. No, tech evolution does not happen like that. Now you look at how exactly the decentralized solutions are even disrupting these cloud-based solutions. Now that's the beauty I'm talking about. Now you could go and have one solution deployed on a decentralized space where you don't have any control from any of the central server, be it storage, be it compute, be it memory, of course, be it your databases. Everything becomes decentralized now. Now that's the point we're talking about. And why is it important? Because the world needs that kind of freedom. The world needs that kind of lack of control, excessive control, which is often the characteristic of centralized systems. So these things are very, very evolutionary. And then when you look at the way these decentralized systems are evolving, then you kind of start appreciating as to what will be the next station. You don't know, because when I look at this space, when I go and try to see what other people are doing innovation at the speed of light. Once I was reading about something from Einstein, and he said very interesting thing. He said that if you want to imagine something, so the way he used to imagine the speed of light, that he used to imagine himself making him sit in the tunnel or on the quantum or whatever you call, and he used to imagine that he is traveling with the speed of light. That's the power of imagination. And that imagination, when coupled with the real life problems in blockchain, then it is becoming magnanimous. For example, you always have a problem of scalability. You always have a problem of security. You always have a problem of privacy. Now, when blockchain started, we were pretty happy that all transactions are shown. Everybody can go and see who is sending what, who is sending to whom, who is sending how much. But later people started realizing that it is not possible to kind of accept this, because there are many situations where you don't want to do that. And then, of course, people started capturing or leveraging the zero knowledge proof, ZKP based solutions, which gives you an ability to go and keep things private, which gives you an ability to go and scale things up. For example, all these roll-up solutions which you are looking at right now, they are all based on ZK. You cannot imagine rolling up thousands and thousands of transactions and settling them on the main net of the base protocol in seconds. It's not possible unless you go and do something like ZK. The point I'm trying to get at here is that this is a fantastic space. And if you are not into this, please get into this right now. And again, as I always say, IBC Media is trying to get you into this. Will I make you a Web3 expert in 2 months? Of course not. Nobody can do that. But we will give you those arms and ammunitions which will take you through this journey, which will make you a Web3 expert, provided you reciprocate with your effort. Let's go to the next slide, Deepak. So the interesting question comes: what is a DApp? Why is these decentralized applications so important? And I know Avinash will cover a lot of these things, so I want to limit myself to a few important dimensions here. The one dimension is that when you talk about applications, all these applications are business level applications, which have certain objectives to fulfill when it comes to the end user, right? Now, the way you build these applications could be built in several ways. There are several technologies, there are several languages, there are several environments. But the bottom line is that when you look at any such application, then you have got, right now, let's talk about 3 different layers. One is the backend layer, where you go and keep files, where you go and keep data, where you go and control the access, who all can access what information, for example, such as if you are familiar with the cloud-based solutions, where in AWS, for example, you divide things in different subnets. One is the private subnet, another is the public subnet. The private subnet is where you keep your, the data that you don't want anybody to access, even by accident. The public subnets are the subnets where you go and keep your stuff, keep your things which are exposed to the outside world. And the application, the front-end application that you keep in the public subnet, only those applications have got an ability to go and access your file servers or database servers which are kept in the private subnet, right? And of course, there are mechanisms, channels in which you go and create these mechanisms. There are several other things which we can talk at some other point in time. But what I'm trying to say that this is the structure of centralized application. But what happens in Dapps? Go to the next slide, please. So what happens in Dapps, that there is no centralized server. So how does it happen? So basically, if you know any blockchain network, starting from Bitcoin to all other network that we're talking about, they are a network of nodes. And all these, there are different types of nodes. I'll not go into that right now, but then there are different types of nodes. All these nodes, what they do, they maintain a copy of the ledger, and they have an ability to go and fire transactions into the network in the most simple way, right? So what really happens, that the data base or the data is scattered, replicated across all these nodes. Even the virtual machine and the programming logic is also scattered across all these nodes. So the fundamental difference is, how do you store data? How do you access data in a blockchain? That becomes the fundamental difference between apps and dApps. I know Avinash will be going much more deeper into this, so I'll limit myself to a certain level. But you understand the basic difference between the apps and dApps here. Go to the next slide, Deepak. Now, why are these dApps so important? And we have talked about it. We don't want them to be controlled by an entity. For example, if you are controlling it by an entity, then basically you are always at the mercy of some system which are central or centralized. You cannot operate in the way you want to operate. Now, one thing that really is, in my opinion, is which really has been the foundation or the base, the foundation, driving factor in the growth of these technologies is basically of the open source nature. What really it means, people are not scared to share their ideas, share their wealth with others. That's very important. And I think if you really say, I was talking about it yesterday, the composability in DeFi, very important point. This composability is basically that you made your application, you open sourced, open sourced your code to the public. People looked at it, and they like 90% of things, but the 10% they kind of go and try to do something else. So they will fork your code, they will copy your code, they will go and make changes on that, and they will come up with a new solution. How about that? Somebody else is looking at the second code, and then they take that code and make some changes on top of that, and then they come up with a new solution. Now imagine the growth that is being fueled by this nature. We have got things which are protocol based. We talked about Ethereum, Solana, Polkadot, Cosmos, Avalanche. There are several others, which are basically, they have, when I say protocol, I mean these could be layer 1, this could be layer 2. Now these are different types of protocols. Layer 1s basically are more fundamental. They have their own settlement layer, they have their own consensus, they have their own concepts of arriving at a consensus as to how, which block is the next block. Now that's very, very important thing, because in central entities, a person or the entity can say that, okay, this is the next block. But in the decentralized system, when there is no central authority, this becomes a very, very important problem to solve, which is called the Byzantine fault tolerance problem, BFT problem. And many implementations are there, guys. There are many, many implementations of these BFT problems. Everybody comes up with a new way of solving this problem. So very, very interesting thing. So sorry about that. So what I'm trying to expose you to all these things, of course, and this is an incentive driven. For example, you create a block, you get rewarded with the with some money in the native token. You create you are talking about the proof of stake model, where people go and stake their coins with the network, and they get staking rewards. For example, people who are being given the opportunity to create blocks in a random way. In many systems that happens, then you are rewarded with the block production reward. There's a lot of, so I think the idea here is that you are incentivized to do the right things, you are penalized for doing wrong things. But your actions are important, your actions are controlled at a level by these incentives, and we have seen that this really has worked. Okay, go to the next slide, please. Now I'll spend some time on this slide. How exactly do they work? And again, as I said, Avinash will go into much more detail in these things, but in a nutshell, what really happens? Typically, what happens that you write an application, the person goes to the front end of the application, the screen of the application, the person clicks on some action. Those actions are basically consolidated at the front end level. They typically converge into some API calls. Now, these API calls are handled by the backend system, where sometimes they go and hit the database, they sometimes go and hit some storage, they do some calculations. And once these things are done in the backend, the response comes back to the front end, which is being shown to you. That's how it typically happens in the centralized systems, right? Now, there is some complication here, as I talked about earlier, that the decentralized applications don't have a central server. So what do you really mean to do? You have your storage, you may have your storage. Those storage could be on chain or off chain, wherever. Of course, there are pro and cons of all these things. But okay, coming back to the point that when you are hitting the application as a end user, what you really do, that you have to have a mechanism to be able to connect to some node which will act on your behalf. If you guys understand this point, there is no central server here. So you basically have to go and hit some node. That node will take your request, and then that node will act on your behalf, interacting with the blockchain network. And when I say that, that really is a lot of work here. And that is where some JavaScript libraries have been created. One is very important thing that you are seeing here is it's called Web3.js. And this image that you are seeing here has been taken from internet. So I think we have not built it. So disclaimer, this is consumed from the internet, just FYI. So there are, JavaScript libraries, for example, Web3.js, there is something called ethers.js. All of them have their own, pluses and minuses. But then one thing they all do, that they identify you, they take your credentials. Okay, they after they understand who you are, they take you kind of how do you give your credentials, how do you identify yourself? By means of a private key. When you are submitting a transaction, then of course you have to sign it by your private key. And when all these things are done, then it will also help you reach a particular node. Now these nodes are typically run by some service providers. It is very difficult for you to run your own node to do transaction, because that becomes if you are a application web application company, you can't go and start creating your own nodes and manage that, because these nodes are very, very expensive, number one, and you need to be very, very active to manage these nodes, right? So it is not practically possible for people to come up with their own nodes when they kind of go and do these things. So what really happens, you go and hit some service point, some service company, which for example Infura does that, right? And you go and hit those nodes, and then they know those nodes act on your behalf, taking your control back to the network in terms of your remote procedure call, RPC calls, and other calls. And then once they kind of go and hit that, so you have to keep in mind that a smart contract is, these smart contracts run in the virtual machine environment. Now, in case of Ethereum, it may be EVM. There could be other, blockchain networks. They may have their own virtual machine environment, and in those virtual machine environment, these smart contracts get executed. And once they get executed, depending upon that, these transactions get some place in the blockchain, and in the block, in a particular blockchain. And once that really happens, then your transaction becomes a part of the network. And accordingly, whatever, all these smart contracts, they have got ability to go and send you responses in different ways. And once you kind of go and you can go and capture these responses, and then finally you go and show them on the front end. That's how it typically works. Now, while we talk about this, there is also a possibility that your application, such as the gaming application or other type of applications, you may also leverage some of the Web2 stacks, such as you can have your own database also, you can have your own storage also. Why is that happening? Because everything you really may not want to keep on the on-chain data, right? So sometimes you leverage, and that is where I was saying that the Web2 stack, the Web3 stack, they fuse together, and ultimately they give rise to an application which has got the decentralized behavior. I hope this makes sense. Go to the next slide, Deepak. Right. So like I was talking about, how do you store data in blockchain? There are different ways, on-chain and off-chain. On-chain data storage is pretty expensive. So you don't want to do that to beyond a point. Sometimes you just go and keep the hash. Sometimes you just go and abstract things and keep some the basic information on the on-chain, and you try to do off-chain data. And typically, you go for IPFS based solutions, for example, where you have what happens in IPFS based solutions, basically, which is called interplanetary file system, in which what really happens that your file gets split into chunks, and these chunks are kept across, and there is an algorithm which kind of goes and assembles them together when somebody requests. There are some problems there which are being solved by many applications such as Filecoin, Arweave, Pinata, for example. What really happens that in IPFS based solutions, you don't have guarantee to nobody gives you guarantee that your data is stored forever. So that's where you need to pin it, for example, and that's where the pinning service is called Pinata, where you go and pin these files, and so that you are sure about you are sure about the data availability all the time. Last but not the least, these Filecoin based solutions and Arweave and others, there are many others. What they are doing, they are creating an incentive based mechanism around all these things. Okay, so that there is an economy about file storage. Somebody who is storing the files, he or she gets incentivized. Somebody who is consuming using these places, who kind of go and pay the money for keeping files on these things. So I think there is a lot of economy around that, and maybe we'll talk about those things maybe some other point in time. So I think that's pretty much, Deepak. Go to the next slide. I think I am done from my side. I will now invite our guest, Avinash Pitti, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Nitro Network, our partner company. And Avinash will be taking you further, into the ocean of Web3 applications. So welcome, Avinash, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So that was very helpful, insightful, as always, Praveen. Thank you. So quickly, I would want to split this next few 30 minutes, into multiple sections. One, to talk about what it takes to be a Web3 developer technically. Like we all mostly understand, I'm assuming out of all the participants we have, I'm assuming some people are computer science, some people are non-computer science, no programming background. It is absolutely fine to not have any coding background. It's absolutely fine to be an industrial engineer, chemical engineer, or a mechanical engineer. Everything is absolutely okay. We start from scratch. It's very easy as long as it is planned and executed. So quickly, I would want to get you started. One, we go through some of the slides that we have. Two is we will have a Q&A session, and then I'll also walk you through in terms of how a wallet is set up, how what are the resources that we need to get us started, learning wise, how to set up a wallet, how to change my network, and then obviously take some of those questions that we were getting on ChatGPT. And then there's a question already which says, even from computer science, no programming touch. Bitcoin was coded in C++. So I'm sure we can all go back to Mr. Yashwant Kanetkar, let us see, and let us C++. So I think that's pretty much the basics. I think it is time for us to go back to the basics of how all of this got started and how we can progress in line with what is required currently. Okay, so Deepak, can you share your screen and go to the presentations? I'll share my screen when it's time. Is that okay with you, Deepak Kudam?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Presentation, right?
Yes, please. Okay. Can you go to the next slide, please? The next one. Next. Yeah, this one. So quickly, I would not spend too much time on it. This topic has been discussed too many times. The evolution of how it all started from Web 1 to 2 to 3. Most of you guys are, engineering students. I would definitely put you into the category of moving from the Web 2 to Web 3. If you look at how it all started from Web 1, we had read-only, the decentralized, and then obviously moving to Web 2, where you have all of these social media, you have Facebook, you have even Instagram, Snapchat, again, all centralized. Again, going back to all the points that Praveen was mentioning about how the data is centrally managed. Even, let's say, take an example of Just Dial. With Just Dial, you have so many suppliers for any query that you call them, and every query has, every partner has ratings. So all of these ratings, their comments, and everything is all stored centrally. Now, anybody who has admin access or a super admin access, they have the power of if they have authorization and authentication, they can modify these comments, these ratings, these priority of becoming a gold customer to a platinum customer to a silver customer. So the idea of moving from the Web 2 to Web 3, saying that, oh, the customer is in charge of its data, the customer privacy is maintained. Today, if you just go to Google and start typing Vietnam or Japanese language, after 4 days or 5 days, you start seeing ads in Japanese language on your Chrome browser. So we need to get control of our own data. We need to make sure that there is decentralized way of managing this data, right? So there are so many protocols, so many protocols, so many applications, so many Dapps, which are already available, and huge opportunity to create new applications. Now, please understand, like the previous slide, you do not want to store all of this data on the blockchain. Blockchain is not your database to store all the information. Very, very important to identify, very important to understand what goes on the blockchain, why a blockchain is really required. You don't want to store information on an Ethereum blockchain and just say that, oh, I'm storing my images, my NFTs, my all of that information on the blockchain. So very, very crucial to understand the Web3 architecture from a technical perspective, which we will go over the next few slides, and why you would want to use the blockchain, and which blockchain is very, very specific need to your use case. So if you're building something on high transaction application, which requires a lot of approvals, which requires a lot of transactions to be happening, you don't want to go to Ethereum, you don't want to go to Bitcoin, because obviously these even your Ethereum would take a lot of will take time for a transaction to be posted on the network. So we'll see what it takes to add a transaction to the network, and then why would it be necessary to add, and how it is necessary to add the transaction to the network. So that being said, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so very, very straightforward. We have different layers on the tech stack of Web3. We have layer 0. For example, take an example of the best layer 0 platform is Polkadot. We will have a lot of information on how Polkadot works, how the substrate framework works, and then obviously there is L1s and L2s. L1 being your example, your Ethereum. You have a lot of protocol layers for L1, which basically gives you an underlying platform, an architecture on how you can build your application on top of it. Now, what Praveen was talking about in terms of inheriting something which is already built. For example, Ethereum has already built. It has, if you understand GitHub, if you understand the coding architecture, if you look at how an existing public blockchain or a repository, an existing online public repository can be forked and then enhanced on top of it. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can fork an existing repository on GitHub, as an example, understand how it works, what it means to take from something which is already built and working and then enhance on top of it. So whether it is an L1, whether it is an L2, whether it's a sidechain, whether it is an existing application, if it's publicly available, you can actually fork it to your own repository and build on top of it. But you have to understand how it works. You have to understand what are you changing. It's not just like I fork it, change the logo, and that's it. So it's not that simple. As long as we understand the process of how we can fork a repository, how we can change or enhance it, you are actually saving a lot of time in terms of development, in terms of building on top of an existing application. So these layers are basically defining the stack of how I can go from L0 to L1 to L2 to L3 to L4. L3 is basically your development layer, wherein it's a layer where you can actually build on top of an existing blockchain, right? So Solidity is a programming language. I will go over how it works. I'll go and explain you as to how an application or a Dapp is built on top of an application, on top of a layer 2 or a layer 1, let's say, on top of Ethereum, right? So Ethereum, again, as a network, has grown very big, moved from proof of work to proof of stake. And then it's all a little technical around how the blockchain works. But from a perspective of building a Dapp on top of an existing platform, I think that is where the industry is moving, where you show that the blockchain, your Dapp works on the blockchain, you post transactions on the blockchain, you make sure that your transactions are posted and added to the blocks, and then your blockchain grows. And then as long as you are a front-end developer, as long as you're doing full stack development of building a web application, interacting with, let's say, a front end talking to a back end, and then interacting with your blockchain to post transactions, which I think is coming in the following slides anyways. So just to understand the overall tech stack, tomorrow if you meet somebody and say, oh, I'm working on an L1, I'm working on Polkadot, people should understand. So for example, very simple, when you meet somebody at a tech event, people talk about, oh, I'm a Java developer, I'm a Python developer, I'm a front-end developer, I'm a React developer, or I work on Polkadot applications, I'm working on palettes. So at least you understand the overall ecosystem, you understand the overall hierarchy of what people and where people are working. It's not about trying to understand how much people earn. It's about where does that technology fit into the overall ecosystem of application development, of whether it is blockchain, whether it is like even ChatGPT, or whether it is anything to do with existing Web 2 full stack development, moving from Web 2 to Web 3. So we have another slide down the line where we talk about different tools, different languages, different parts of the overall architecture. So one is the tech stack in terms of all the different layers on blockchain, right? When it comes to Ethereum, Avalanche, all the different blockchains which are available as part of L1s. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So to begin with, right, to understand what does it even mean. So let's take an example, and I would want to explain this scenario of how does a transaction gets into a blockchain, right? So I'll just go over these steps. 1, transaction is requested and authenticated. 2, a block representing that transaction is created. A block is sent into the node on the network. Node validates the transaction. Now, node receives a reward for proof of work, typically in cryptocurrency. A block is added to the blockchain. Update is distributed across the network, and the transaction is complete. Now, if you want to understand, take a business case example. Let's say you're trying to take an approval from you're trying to execute a transaction in a bank. Okay. Now somebody says, I want a credit of, let's say, $10 million for setting up another unit. Now that approval has to be recorded. That approval has to be recorded as a transaction on a blockchain network, whether that is XRP or whether it is Ethereum, or whether it is a transaction which is going on, let's say, Polygon or even Polkadot, which is working on interoperability on different clients. Now, if you have to post, obviously you have to say who is a customer, what is the existing limit, what is the reason of approval, and who is approving it, what are the credentials of the person. Now, all of this information, one is we want to only record the approval process. So once you say that, oh, these are the details of my transaction, and I want to post that transaction on the network, a transaction is requested. When I say transaction is requested, all the details for the transaction, from party to party, what is the amount, what is the reason, a few very, very basic lightweight transaction details can be posted. We do not want to, because it's distributed, we do not want to make sure that we clog the network with too much data. You cannot not post pictures, you cannot post like huge PDF files of approvals and all that. So even if you have to do that, maybe you just create a hash, like what Praveen was saying, create a hash of that data, post that hash onto this, along with the transaction data, you post that hash on the network. Then once you submit this transaction, and I'll share that, I'll show you the Ethereum and Avalanche and different blockchain networks as to how do you check this? What does it mean by a transaction getting added to the block? And then the whole validation process. Now, whenever the transaction is getting added to the block and the block gets created, there is a reward which goes to the block creator or the validator. Now, if you look at this, where whenever you are trying to post a transaction, whether it is this blockchain banking approval for a credit, or whether it is, let's say, I'm sending somebody some money and that transaction has to be recorded, person who is putting that transaction or executing the transaction has to pay a gas fee. Now, this gas fee is internally actually going as a reward to the person who is helping in maintaining the network. Now, let me show you, and I'm going to share my screen. You cannot start screen share while the other participant. Okay, fine. Okay, so can you see my screen? Okay. So if you look at, okay, so if you look at etherscan.io, etherscan.io is the Ethereum's blockchain explorer. It has obviously the price, the transactions. If you see this 13.4 TPS, it means that it is the network is currently able to process 13 transactions per second, right? So if you say, oh, I have a port in Visakhapatnam, and that Visakhapatnam port is processing, let's say 100,000 transactions in a month, which is still fine. Some of these transactions where you have, let's say, Walmart. If you are in Walmart and you're saying I'm processing 1,000 transactions per second, then you cannot post those transactions on Ethereum network because that network does not support that much scale. We'll have to find out other blockchain network which is supporting this volume. So if you look at this latest transaction, latest blocks, it has all this information about, let's say I go to view all transactions. I go to, take an example of this. Now, this basically is a mint one of this contract. Let me take another example. Okay, take this example. Now, this transaction on the Ethereum talks about from address to address. This is a value which is currently 0.0124 Ethereum. And then this is the amount. Now, if you look at this, the transaction fee is, again, now because this is Ethereum blockchain network, the transaction fee is always in the native currency. When I say native currency, if you are working with Ethereum, then the transaction fee will be in ethers. If you're working with, let's say, an example of Avalanche network, I'll open that as well. Snowtrace.io. Now, this is an Avalanche Explorer. If you look at this example, tokens transferred, gas fee is in the native token. Now, Avalanche AVAX is a native token of Avalanche Network, and Avalanche Network's Explorer is called Snowtrace. So whenever we post a transaction, you actually come over and you can search here. Let me go back to Ethereum. I'm going to go back to the home screen. This is my Ethereum Explorer. If you install a wallet, I'm sure few people or most of the people are aware of what it means to have a wallet, right? So the most widely used wallet is MetaMask. MetaMask.io. I would recommend first point, this is not an investment advice. This is only for understanding all of these images and all of this, as Praveen was mentioning. This is for references and educational purposes. This is learning purposes. We are not trying to promote trading for any token, any coin, but understand technically how and what it means by being in the ecosystem and learning and building on top of this ecosystem. So if you look at this wallet, I have a wallet here, MetaMask installed. Installation, setting up of the MetaMask wallet is very, very easy. It's on YouTube, standard website. can download an extension and then set up a process, setting up a MetaMask, installing the MetaMask wallet, setting up the wallet. And as I think some of this was already discussed in terms of what's the public key, what's the private key, all of this information is pretty standard, and I want everyone to understand what it means to only build very, very effective Dapps, very, very effective applications, and in fact, how this is interacting with this. So for example, if I'm logging in here, let's see. Okay, what's new? These people, they automatically come up with very, very new versions, new features of on the MetaMask wallet. So if you look at this, I'm right now connected to Ethereum mainnet. Okay, the network, this section shows the Ethereum mainnet. Now here, it'll show you my account ID. Now I can click on this copy. I can, let's say, go back. This is Ethereum. I go to ethereum.io. I can just paste that wallet. Now this is my public key. Okay. Now this is my public key. I can copy it here. I can see all the transactions here. What if I have anybody's public key? I can actually go on the network, see what all transactions the person has done, in the overall history of the network. Okay. Now, same thing. If I go back to my Ethereum, I can actually look at here. I have this create account, import account, connection of my hardware wallet. Again, there was a session where we discussed about wallets. There's hardware wallets, hot wallets, cold wallets, and the different types of wallets. So you can also configure and connect your hardware wallet. You can also create an account. So let's say I say CEP 3.0 wallet 2. Okay, I say create. Now, when I do that, it actually creates another account for me with a unique public key. Okay, so for example, if I again click on this, I have two accounts. One account will have its own, everything separate. Second account will have my another wallet with another history of all assets that I can add. And then I can see the NFTs. I can click on the activity. It'll show me what transfers I have done in the past, what transactions I have done in the past. Okay, then for example, this is my CEP wallet. I can click on this. I can again go back here and then paste it and then press enter. Again, this is again showing me BB83, my wallet, separate process, separate account, but they're all mapped to the same wallet. So this is one thing. If I click on this, I can now also add another network. I'll go to the Avalanche. Let's say I click on Avalanche. You have switched to Avalanche network, which means that if I want to go back and go back to Snowtrace, okay, I click on this. I'm on snowtrace.io. This is when I'm connected to my MetaMask Avalanche network. Anything that I have to look at has to be on its own explorer, which is Snowtrace. Now, again, I click on this. I see the same thing. I see this address. I see the transactions. This currently has 0 AVAX. Again, AVAX is the native currency. Same goes for Ethereum, and ETH is the native currency. So one good thing that you have to understand on the different networks which are following EVMs, okay, is the wallet addresses are same across different networks which are following EVMs. For example, here I have a wallet address which is BB83, and on the Avalanche network, if I change the network, I will also have the same wallet address because this is following the wallet creation process across different EVMs on different networks. Very important. Now, for example, if you go to, let's say, Tron network, right? They have a different naming convention of a wallet address or a public address. If you go to Polkadot, they have a different naming convention for the public key hashes that it's managing across wallets. So let me show you Polkadot wallet address. I'm sorry, I might be delayed in the timing I have. Let me go to Polkadot extension. I have a Polkadot. You see this, it has a different naming convention. It starts with a 5DRU, but if you go here, anything on the EVM starts with a 0x. Okay, so and anything on Avalanche network starts with a 0x. So each of these, all of these, they have Polka assembly. I'm sure we have Deepak Chaudhary coming up, who has its own Polkadot presentation. But let me just quickly go over the presentation on this. So I have a Polkadot wallet. It has its own explorer. Again, a lot of transactions on the Polka Explorer. You have Subscan, and I think that's anyways coming. So going back to what it means, let me take another example of a real-time application of how it works. So when you build a Dapp on, Polka on a blockchain, right, or on an L1, you have to basically say, oh, this is my use case. I'm going to solve this problem, and this is how my data will be managed. This is what I'll store on the blockchain. Now, in this case, what we're trying to do, a very simple example of selling something on EMIs. Okay, now everybody is aware of what EMI is. You use credit cards, you buy something on EMI, you buy a mobile phone on EMI. We are saying that, oh, on this, we are trying to sell an NFT on EMI. Okay, it's a use case where we're saying that you don't have to pay everything upfront. You, let's say if the NFT, as an example, NFT costs about, let's say, $100, you can take it on EMI. You can calculate. Yeah, there are three different types of EMIs. EMIs purchased using NFMs purchased using EMIs are auto stake. So there is a concept of how you are incentivized for staking something. You stake something and you get rewards, right? And then what we are saying as a business case is that a minimum 10% payment is required. Rewards are accumulated, and then you only get your NFT back to you only when the full amount is paid. So this is a process. This is a use case that we have created, saying that you want to purchase an NFM. You might not have the full money, but you can still purchase using EMI. As soon as you purchase using EMI, it's auto staked and you start getting rewards, and then you can claim those rewards, or you can get that NFM when the full payment is made. So it's a use case. So when I click on this, you see configure Avalanche for MetaMask. So when I go to MetaMask, I say connect. I am on Avalanche network. And then when I connect wallet, it basically connected the BB83 wallet because I'm already logged into the MetaMask here. I'm connected to the network. I'm on the right network, on the right wallet. And then when I click on this, it automatically. So this is my front-end application. Now I'm going to go back to the presentation. And because this wallet is a fresh wallet, I do not have any purchases. I do not have anything purchased on EMI, or I do not have any pending EMIs to be paid. If I have anything, it'll actually show me the balance, the serial number, the EMI ID, the EMI paid, the outstanding, and the due date on the UTC time zone format. Now I'm going to go back to the presentation. Deepak, can you stop the share and go back to the presentation, please? Next. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, where we are saying that there is a wallet which will be talking to the front-end application. Now the front-end application is the UI that was created using full stack application that interacts with a smart contract, and that internally that smart contract is basically deployed as a contract on the blockchain. So in order to create a Dapp, we are basically saying that, oh, you identify the blockchain, Ethereum, Polka, Avalanche, any of those blockchains, and then you have a smart contract. Then your front end, back end, front end, which means your UI. Then you have let's say, smart contract interaction ability, whether you use Node or whether you, let's say, you build an application you're using React.js. So you have a React.js application which will basically invoke functions of a smart contract, which will basically execute those transactions on the blockchain. So this is very simple architecture where we are building an application. The use case has to be thought through. The use case will have a front end, will have a process and the flow defined. That front end will basically interact and execute functions of the smart contract, and that internally will basically be submitted on the blockchain. Can you go to the next one, please? I'm running short of time. Okay, so very simple. I think if you look at the Web 2 and the Web 3, technically, there is on the Web 2 side, we have an application front end. You have obviously your front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then you make API calls respectively, where if you are running a PHP application, you directly make calls to your database, whether your database could be Oracle, SQL, MySQL, or even Node.js, or your NoSQL database like MongoDB or anything, right? So all of that is part of an application where your front end is again having an application layer, and that application layer is talking to your database layer, which is your database server. Again, there's a lot of current Web 2 applications which are already working, scalable applications. They follow very good CI/CD processes of how the application, how the data moves across 3-tier architecture of development to QA to production, and then scale. For example, I'll give you an example where you have IoT. There's a lot of IoT devices which keeps pinging data every second. Now, if you are saying that I want to store all of this information every second on the database, it's performance heavy. I'll give you an example of a Sachin Tendulkar final match, which was happening in Mumbai. They opened the website to start taking tickets. They wanted to sell match tickets, and the server crashed because 50,000 people visited the website, and then they were trying to make payments, they were trying to purchase tickets, and the site crashed. Why? Because one, obviously there is performance, there is scalability, and two is identifying what type of backend should be used, identifying what is the application which has to be built, how the scalable application has to be built, whether you just make API calls like here, or you also create something called as WebSockets. So again, these are all very heavy topics to be discussed in a short period of time. But then if you look at the Web3 architecture here, there is front end. Obviously, there are different JavaScript libraries available, which will help us to interact with the blockchain through the wallet. So if you look at this, the front end, which is your client, obviously there is internet layer in between where your web server, which is your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which will make an API call to the application layer. Now, this application layer will basically make an RPC call, remote procedure call, to the blockchain server, where there is these libraries which will help you to make this request, get the response from the respective transaction. So let's say you post a transaction. Whenever you post a transaction, obviously you're paying the gas fees, but when the transaction is confirmed, you get a transaction ID back or a hash back. Now you take that hash back and store it and link it to this transaction. So when I say that not all of my IoT data is going on my blockchain every second, I'm going to aggregate that information, store that information as an aggregated information into one database. But when I post that aggregated information on the chain, I get the transaction hash back, and then that hash will be stored into my backend as a reference. So very important to understand how the flow works in terms of, one, what data goes, and two, how the flow is working in terms of data going to the blockchain as a transaction, and then the hash coming back into the database that you would want to store. Can we go to the next one, please? So this was the use case that I was talking about, where I gave an example of, go to the next one, please. How an EMI application is built, how what data goes on the chain, why this is important to understand the use case, how blockchain will be used in this application. So if you go to the next one, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So this was a use case where we said that, oh, there is a an application where you have a MetaMask wallet. That wallet is connected to this application. Once you connect to the application, you can actually purchase, purchase an NFM, and then purchase an NFM through an EMI, and then based on the different functions, you can actually execute on-chain transactions. So very important to understand the use case, the use of blockchain, and then how the flow works in terms of a technical execution. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this was the one on Snowtrace, where you actually see how the transactions are recorded on the Explorer or on the blockchain. So it will show you the from, the hash, the method. If you look at this, it says buy and stake. You are purchasing it 2 days ago. This transaction happened, and if you open the transaction, you will see what is the different how much amount have you paid for that, what is the pending amount, and all of that can be tracked on the Explorer. Can you go to the next one, please? Okay, sorry. So there was a slide where we had a lot of tools mentioned. One, we have to understand, and let me open that slide somewhere. Okay, hold on 1 second, quickly. Okay, I'll just be quick. Can you make me the presenter? I just want to open one slide quickly. Very important. Okay, so I think if you look at the overall architecture, there is a Web3 developer tools landscape. Now, this talks about all the different things that currently is being done, and I'm sure more applications are currently being built. That way, it will add to the tools landscape, and then these are all companies. So, for example, you start from at the bottom, where you have the cloud infrastructure, then you have the storage. Now, again, storage goes back to on-chain storage, off-chain storage, how the data is being stored. Then you have your APIs, you have indexing protocols, then you have the languages, right? So you have JavaScript, Rust. You see a lot of Rust discussion happening on Polkadot. And then you have Solidity. We have most widely used language on the blockchain, which is Solidity and Rust. These are the two most widely used. Then you have the frameworks, where you have the Truffle framework. This is used to interact with your network once you build your Solidity contract, how you deploy your contract to the network, and how what are the different networks that you can interact with in terms of publishing a contract or a Solidity contract that you create, which will be published on the network respectively. Then you have different SDKs, you have different libraries. Again, these libraries are also used to interact with the network. You have obviously your Visual Studio Code or any of these IDEs which will help you to write different contracts. You have testnets, you have mainnet. So for example, if you have Ethereum, you have testnet and mainnet. You have different types of testnets which will help you with testing those contracts before you actually deploy a contract on the main public net. You have security. I think this is most important security aspect, where a contract which is created has to be audited. A single line of code can actually have you people lose the contract money. So if somebody is saying, oh, I have put money in the contract, it is safe. If that contract is not coded properly, if it's not audited properly, there is a possibility that there could be a handshake happening in middle lab, which will eventually end up in losing money. So there are so many companies who are providing security security audit at different levels. So very important we understand just the overall architecture. We don't have to become security professionals, but just to understand what it means by secure development, coding, audit, runtime intelligence, penetration testing, and then protocol management. So, and obviously when it comes to open source contributions and education, there's a lot of learning to be done. There is a lot of process to be understood in terms of overall architecture. And I think it's time now that we can just go over some Q&A. Sorry, and then we can take it from there. If there is any questions anybody has, please reach out to us. We are on Discord, and if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me as well.
Right, Avinash sir, first of all, thank you so much for the wonderful insight. So guys, if you, apart from everything that Avi sir has discussed here regarding blockchain and especially, and also chat GPT. So, if you want to pick his brain, then do connect with him on his LinkedIn. Let me just share his profile with you. He can be a fantastic person to give you insights, not just, on your project, but also if you are facing any problem with respect to the business aspect of things, then you can definitely reach out to him, and I'm sure he would love to revert with an answer. You can, I've just shared his LinkedIn profile in the chat. Make sure you connect with him and drop him a query. Avi sir, as of now, we have, okay, I'm seeing a couple of questions pop in right now. So let's say I'll pick one from Mario Francis George. Where can I build a program in Polkadot to do database management?
So there is a full session by Mr. Deepak Chaudhary next coming up on Polkadot in terms of how you can build an application on Rust and then interact with how we can save this database, how we save this data into the database. So I would leave all that Polkadot questions to Mr. Deepak Chaudhary.
Right, absolutely. So on a similar line, another question is on asking you to refer a proper working testnet. If you want to address that, or maybe
Yeah. So
Deepak Chaudhary,
see, I think regarding Polka, I would have him take care of it. But I think in terms of building a Dapp and picking up let's take an example of Avalanche or take an example of Ethereum. I would say the best testnets are you can use Ropsten or you can use Godly for Ethereum, and obviously there is a respective testnet available on Avalanche. So the idea is to build the application, or you are doing multiple types of testing here. So one, I would say, first level of test environment that you would need is obviously your smart contract, where you are deploying your smart contract on a testnet. Second is you are saying that, oh, I have a QA environment set up for my full stack development. So like you have continuous integration and continuous development cycle set where you have a dev to QA to production. Your QA environments can all be local. You have to make sure that you spend enough time on your unit testing to integration testing to stress testing and to obviously UAT. So when these applications are built, we make sure that you have to do a full testing cycle, whether you use tools for Selenium for automation testing or even manual testing, as a matter of fact. So the idea is the environment for blockchain testing are any of these testnets, and for any other thing outside the blockchain, you also have different so many tools available for testing respective places for stress testing and Selenium test, automation testing, and then integration testing, and you also have something called as regression testing, where you make sure that you release something new, making sure it doesn't break something else of the previous releases.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Let me just check if we have any more, sir. What type of project we have to do to get our attention. So guys, these are more of a generic question. We'll address it one by one. So you can build any project. We'll have a lot of discussions on the same in the module 2, which is technical sessions, where we'll dive deep into it. As of now, just focus on building a foundation. And then obviously, as you proceed to the technical sessions, then learn the basics of how you are supposed to build it. And then obviously, once you have completed that basic feeding of your intellectual development cycle, then obviously we'll come to the building process, after which you get the internship certificate. It's a long journey, but it's a smooth journey. So you just stick around and you'll get to know all of it. Once again, Avinash sir, it is wonderful to have you. I love the fact that you could spare some time from your hectic schedule, and it is always wonderful to get insights from you. Any closing
There's
comments
only
that
one
you
or
would want to
two.
share?
Yeah, I think I've been seeing some chat messages on ChatGPT. I'll tell you my experience. We have also launched a product on ChatGPT. So one, it will not replace developers. Please understand, we are technical people, we are binary people. So one, it will not replace developers. When calculator launched, people said that, oh, all the mathematicians are all gone, they'll be wiped off as a profession. But then it is an evolution process, like what Praveen was saying, that there is evolution from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 100. These models, the language models that are currently being worked upon, whether you have 100 million parameters or a trillion parameters that you're training you are considering while you're training your model, very important one. If you look at the projects, if you look at the code, if you look at how it is giving you code snippets, it does not mean that you as a developer will be gone. Today, we will require even more stronger developers than before. So I'll tell you some metrics that I was looking at, which said from McKinsey, one of the reports said that by 2030, there will be a shortage of software developers. So the next few years, it will not change the way human brain is working. Please understand, this is an evolution process. It's being trained. It does not mean that it can take decisions on its own. It's helping the current trend of prompt engineering. You need to know how to use it better. You cannot just say what is the best 5 places to it's a pretty standard normal Google reply, right? But one, please understand, if you want to make a career out of ChatGPT, or if you want to make a career, please, there is no shortcut. You have to understand how it works. You have to learn how prompts work. It's like there is something called as contextual learning, where there is a sequence of prompts that will trigger the responses, and the responsive quality will differ. The responsive quality can be improved on. So I would say that people who know what they want, that's the best tool. If you're just going and exploring and give me the best ideas to make $1,000 in a day, that's not going to happen. Okay, so it's not, you will not find goods, you will not find, if that was the case, everybody would have done it, right? So in terms of the ChatGPT 4 version, the one which is the GPT-4 which is released, I think it is improving the process, but it will not replace developers. It will not replace profession. It will streamline some processes. I would definitely agree to chatbot response efficiency improvement, but it will not replace people. So there is your views about the recession. I think talking about recession is a whole new topic in itself. I would say this is a time to build. This is the time to go back to the basics and build very, very strong applications. Understand how L1s work, understand how Dapps have to be built, participate in a lot of hackathons. We have a lot of hackathons. I think IBC has a lot of hackathons which have very good mentors who will help you to build a very strong application and get visibility into this. So do not worry about recession. Do not worry about the market. No price discussion. Just focus on technology. Even though you are a computer science with no programming background, it is still fine. You can. I have seen people who are electrical backgrounds and mechanical backgrounds doing very good in blockchain and full stack development. So I would say start from full stack development, understand how it is interacting with this thing. You don't have to be a a designer. You don't have to learn everything on HTML, CSS3 design. Become a UI developer. You have to understand the process, execute the end to end, make sure that you are conveying the product message right, and you have a good good market fit. So don't worry about recession. I would say be very, very strong on fundamentals of blockchain, of coding, of technology, whether it is even ChatGPT or even blockchain or even any other Web2 application. So I always believe that. Sorry, there is a question: how to get a job in Web3? Most of the companies now are still hiring based on programming languages, Java and Python. So I think one, going into Solidity language when it comes to Web3. One, I would say full stack development. Two is Solidity language. Three is Rust. I would say focus on this. Try to get a lot of certifications on languages like Rust and Solidity and full stack development. It will definitely help you if you are certified. If you're certified on any of these languages, you obviously show credibility. So getting certification, participation into hackathons, participation with IBC gets you a lot of recognition and credibility, and more importantly, confidence of building applications. So do not worry about whether people are still hiring Java and Python. I think Python is very, very strong. I strongly believe in Python, which does a lot of stuff on data science, which does a lot of stuff on data. At the same time, full stack development with Rust and Solidity. I think we are in the right space. As I think I was listening to the conversation earlier, this field or this time, being in the right place at the right time is the key. So I would say focus on strong fundamentals to getting certifications, which is I think the most important thing. Whether you do it with Udemy or Coursera, or even get into good programs through IBC, it will help you getting noticed with very strong profiles with certifications.
Absolutely. So all you need is the skill, and every other worry is obsolete for you. So,
Yeah.
Avinash
Yeah,
sir,
and
once again,
yeah, just
thanks a lot.
thanks, Avi.
Yes,
Thank
Praveen
you.
sir, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Like Avi was mentioning, IBC Media has not just planned to teach you, but then we have built an internship driven program. The details of this will be shared with you very soon. But the idea here is to make them make all those technology stacks known to you, and on top of that we are helping you to build with us. Now, say for example, and I was talking about this earlier also, that you finish one CEP, maybe try to build something, then get into the next CEP, try to make this journey continuous. Okay, and once you are doing this, then if once you are done with 2-3 CEPs, and if you are able to put your hands together on building 2 or 3 times, you are already an expert. And I agree with Avinash that the programming languages, of course, Solidity has been one of the key languages with which the programmability started in blockchain, and Rust being another programming language which compiles to the WebAssembly WASM related, I would say executables. Now, Rust, in fact, there will be a time when any programming language that can be compiled to the WebAssembly WASM standards that could be used to make applications in blockchain. I mean, we are moving towards that direction. But for the time being, I think it is very, very important for you to understand, get deeper insights, and have some working knowledge in Rust, which will be very, very crucial for you. So please do attend the sessions that we are going to be having. And the Rust session starts, and that information will come to you from IBC Media team very soon. Please do not miss those sessions. And because those sessions are not only teaching you, but then we will be evaluating you. We will be challenging you with your understanding with some quizzes. And then once we are done with all of that, in fact, I see some participants already here who were part of our previous CEP. I do appreciate them. In fact, I saw Ritika here, who was the top scorer for our last CEP. Still, she has come here. And, once you kind of go and do this, keep building here, right? That is very, very important. And that is how, you get to the perfection that, you are expecting from yourself, right? These perfection things don't happen just like that. You have to put in effort there, right? Deepak?
Absolutely, sir. So so much insights. I mean, I have to say that all of you who are here are lucky enough to be in this zone where all the experts here are not just telling you and helping you with the technical stuff, but also trying to get your head around the fact that how important learning this entire space is and how it will enhance your career. Uh, that said, once again, Avinash sir, it was awesome to have you hear from you. And obviously, students, if you want to speak more about with Avinash sir and discuss your ideas and thoughts, then make sure you get in touch with him on his LinkedIn profile or his Twitter. I've shared the profile link in the chat box. Avi sir, thank you so much. If there's any more comments you want to add before we continue to the next conversation.
No, I think thank you for the session. Thank you for having me. I think uh, all at the bottom of everything is comes down to very strong discipline. People, as Praveen was saying, that we have people coming back, and I think that's that's a very strong motivation for IBC also, where there is very strong participation. We have 200 people on the call, and I think it's really inspiring for us also to give away of what we learn from a daily market. So please reach out to us, whatever is required in terms of the journey of development. There is no full stop to learning. I think we learn every day. With even 20 years of experience, we are still learning and building on top of what we built yesterday. And to summarize it, I would say that there is no shortcut. You cannot become 100% in one day. All we need is 1% increase from yesterday. I think that is what we need to focus on. And if we are able to achieve that, I think we are good.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Ravi sir. Once again, thank you for joining us. And we'll move on to the next session of the same
Thank you.
program, guys. Yes, thank you so much, sir. So we have Deepak Chaudhary with us, and most of you might already know him from the session he conducted at the Alt Hack Chennai. Deepak will be speaking more in the Polkadot ecosystem, and also with the fact that he is a developer, and no better person than him for you to explain the importance of this space. Deepak Chaudhary, over to you.
Yeah, hey, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Avi sir and Praveen sir, for in-depth knowledge of front end and back end in Web3 Dapps. Okay, so guys, as you know, my name is Deepak Chaudhary, and I'm working as a dev advocate in IBC Media. So today we'll see some insights of Polkadot network. Let's start with what is Polkadot. Polkadot is a network protocol that allow arbitrary data, not just token, to be transferred from one blockchain to another. Polkadot is a first fully sharded blockchain it is a multi-chain environment. Polkadot enables scalability by allowing specialized blockchain to communicate with each other in a secure and trust-free environment. Polkadot can transfer this data across public, open, permissionless blockchain as well as private permission blockchains. There are so many features of Polkadot that makes this blockchain more attractive. Like first one, interoperability that we have discussed now. Second one, we can say scalability. Like isolated blockchain can only process a limited amount of traffic, which cause bottleneck when the network is congested. Because Polkadot is sharded multi-chain network, it can process many transactions on several chains in parallel. It overcomes the issue that occurs on legacy network that process transactions in sequence. This parallel processing power improves the scalability of Polkadot network. Now next could be on-chain governance. Polkadot is the one of the first blockchain to have a governance process built into its ecosystem. On the Polkadot JS dashboard, all dot holders can vote for council members, referenda, and upgrade proposals, etc. A few proposals have already been voted on. Now, next feature could be forkless updates. Polkadot is able to upgrade the network without needing any forks. Further, this upgrade works on a meta protocol level based on the result of governance action. In other words, when an upgrade is proposed and voted upon, if the outcome is positive, then the meta protocol will change the Polkadot protocol based on the outcomes. If the outcome is negative, then nothing will happen. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So how does Polkadot works? You can see some of the entities written here. Let's just explore these one by one. First is relay chain. It is the heart of Polkadot. It is responsible for the network, shared security, consensus, and cross-chain interoperability. Now, next is parachain. So these are the custom blockchains that can have their own token and optimize their functionality for specific use cases. Now, next would be bridges. What bridges is, it allows parachains to connect and communicate with external networks like Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now, next is validators. What validators do is, it secures the relay chain by staking dot and validating proof from collators and participating in consensus with other validators. Now, last is collators. So it maintains the shreds by collecting transactions from user and producing proof for validators. Okay, let's see the flow. The Polkadot network use a shredded model where shredded called parachains allow transactions to proceed in a parallel instead of sequentially. Each parachain in the network has a unique state transition function, and relay chain has a Polkadot has a relay chain acting as a main chain of the system. Also, parachain construct and propose block to the validator on the relay chain, where block undergoes availability and validity check before being added to the finalized chain. As the relay chain provides a security guarantee, so collators don't have any security responsibility. So thus, they do not require a heavy incentive system. So this is how the entire network stay up to date with the many transactions that take place. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so let's discuss about the Polkadot consensus. Before that, we'll see why do we need consensus and what is consensus. So consensus is a method for coming to an agreement over a shared state in order for the state of blockchain to continue to build and move forward. All the nodes in the network must agree and come to a consensus. It is the way in which the node in a decentralized network are able to stay synced with each other. Okay. Polkadot uses NPOS, that is nominated proof of stake, as its mechanism for selecting the validator set. In this, validators are backed by nominators with their tokens. And the validators which will be validate the block are chosen through the amount of token that they have. Okay, Polkadot have different mechanism to produce a block and different mechanism to finalize the block. For production, Babe is used. So what is it? It is the block production mechanism that runs between the validator and determines the author of new blocks. Babe assigned block production slot to the validators according to the state and using the Polkadot randomness cycle. Okay, for finalization of block, grandpa is used. And what is it? It is the finality gadget that is implemented for the Polkadot relay chain. Finality is obtained by consecutive round of voting by the validator nodes. Validators execute grandpa finality process in parallel to block production as an independent service. As soon as more than 2 by 3 of the validators approve the block is ready to add in the finalized chain. Can we go next? Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, so Deepak Chaudhary, first of all, thank you for covering things in so detail. What I would like to do here, I would like to spend 5 minutes, Deepak Singh, with your kind permission, to give some more context about what Deepak Chaudhary was just talking. Now, Deepak Chaudhary has used several terms which you may have heard for the first time. But then do not worry about it, because Deepak Chaudhary is going to be with you, working with you very closely in the next several sessions. So you will get a lot of clarity about all these things in coming days. Number 1 point. Number 2 point I would like to establish here is that certain things you should always try to understand the fundamentals, right? Avinash talked about, even I talked about the 2 major problems in blockchain. The one problem is the scale problem. Now, if you have a business system, for example, Visa, MasterCard, who handle thousands of transactions per second, and some of the native blockchains, the early blockchains, they are just handling, in hundreds, not even hundreds. There are, of course, blockchains which have come who claim to be processing a huge number of transactions, but this is still a problem, right? Now, how do you solve this problem? There are different ways in which you can solve this problem. One way to solve this problem is to take the transaction on a side chain and roll them up together and take that bundle of transaction for settlement on the main chain, on the main net, right? I mean, that's how various roll-ups work. Now, in that rollup also, there is a new way of handling, which I was referring to earlier, is the zero knowledge proof technology, in which a prover is trying to prove to the verifier about something that he or she knows, but without divulging any information. Now, this is a very, very interesting topic. A lot of research is happening in this space for last several years now. And suddenly zero knowledge proof has found huge applicability in blockchain, which is solving many of the problems related to scale and privacy. But the other problem, other mechanism of solving this problem is like what Deepak Chaudhary referred to, is by sharding. Now, what exactly is sharding? Sharding is breaking a process into several processes, and all these processes happen together, and the result gets combined. In fact, Ethereum 2.0 is also using the sharding mechanism. So sharding, and if you look at the Polkadot architecture, what really happens here? All these different parachains that Deepak talked about, all these parachains are having their process run parallelly. So imagine the number of shards that you have created here. Okay. Now, all these number of shards, they have their own transactions and their own finalization of the transaction and the blocks. But then all of them kind of go and give you a multiplier effect of the volume of transactions that is being handled on Polkadot. Now, that is one of the most important things that Polkadot is solving here, is giving you a scale to the business function. Okay. Number two is another very important problem that we have been facing in this industry is basically interoperability. Now, when Ethereum started struggling with the transaction volume, then lot many other blockchains started coming up, right? And all these were trying to solve this the scale problem, the speed problem, the throughput problem in their own different ways. But that what really happened by the whole process, that so many islands of blockchains start getting created. And all of these different blockchains are there working in isolation, not connected to each other, and they have their own fragmented liquidity or the money that they store, right? Now, this again became a big problem for this whole space. And that is where protocols like Polkadot, they help solve these problems. How do they do that? They're basically parachains, like Deepak talked about. These parachains are basically very specific custom blockchains, layer 1 blockchains, like your Ethereum, like your Solana, like your Avalanche. These are layer 1 blockchains with a very, very specific purpose. But the beauty is that you can come up with these parachains at a very, very short amount of time, in a very short amount of time, because the major processes of blockchain, such as consensus, the block production, consensus, the transaction collation, collaterals that they do, all these things have been predefined and offered to you on a plate. Now, either you can go and choose these things and customize them to suit your purpose, or you can go and create your own. These are all called palettes, which Avinash Pitti was referring earlier. The point what I'm trying to say is that Polkadot has made the system much more scalable. It has provided the much needed interoperability that this blockchain space needs today. And to do this, it really has come up with a beautiful structure in which in the center lies a relay chain, which is the brain of the whole system, and all these parachains, in their circumference, and all of them are solving their custom problem, but then they're all connected through, this relay chain by means of their transaction communication with the help of something called XCM. Right. So I just wanted to give some more context to what exactly we are talking about. And then in the whole process, you will definitely still come through several other terminologies, which Deepak Chaudhary will progressively help you understand. And when you start building in these things. So Deepak Singh, I think that's pretty much. Chaudhary, thank you so much. From my side.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Praveen sir, for adding your vital comments at the end. So, guys, I know it could be a little overwhelming. This is the first session where we have touched upon some technical aspects of the entire education program. But the fact is that this is just an overview for you. We will be diving deep on each of these subjects, each of these topics. And you don't need to worry about if there's any doubt. We are obviously there to help you out. Now, moving on to the next agenda, we have already discussed the fact that you will be building projects with IBC Media in Module 3, right? And to do that, you will need to have a team. Now, a lot of you might already have your team members because we worked on the same in Alt Hack Chennai. So all you need to do is let me just demonstrate our portal, which was kind of done again earlier before by Avinash sir here, who gave a presentation right now. So he had given you the demonstration earlier as well, but let me just do that again. With this, what will happen is basically you will be registering your teams here. And once you register the teams, there are already a lot of teams that were allocated the tracks, sponsor tracks. For example, Polkadot was allocated, Unique Network was allocated, Chingari was allocated. And similarly, the new teams that come and sign up with us, we will be allocating sponsor tracks to them as well. Before I move further on how you will register your teams, I'll just screen is visible to my team.
Yes, Deepak, it is visible.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So the first thing that you will do, guys, is basically you will go to events.ibc.media. Okay, let me just put this link in chat.
Deepak, while you do that, can you give me 30 more seconds, please?
Yes, sir, absolutely, please. Yeah.
So guys, and the step that Deepak Singh is explaining right now, this is very important, and it is very imperative for you to go and choose the team that you want to build your product on. Okay, so we expect you to come up with a team of 3 people who could be, complementary skills, or their vibes match, or you want to work with each other. We want you to create your team at the earliest, and rest details will be shared by Deepak. But why I am emphasizing on this point, that this will be one of the most critical stage of your participation in the IBC CEP. And of course, whatever you do, whatever whatever you build, learn, all these things will be at the team level. So it is very important for you to choose your team. Sorry, Deepak, please continue.
Yeah, no worries. So thank you. So yeah, so most of you, some of you might have already used the platform, but to all those who are new here, before you, like for example, I am logged in here. Let me just log out and sign in again. So I'll just kind of share you the process. It's a very simple 2-minute thing. So first of all, if you haven't already signed up, you'll just go and sign up. So you just put your email address and then verify, and then you get a verification link, and then your email gets verified. After which you will start with your uh, this login process, right? So I already have the login, so I'll just use mine to login, and you all the while can also do this simultaneously. I don't have any team member. How I will be in team? Yeah, so I know there would be a couple of you who might not have a team, but do not worry. We have the IBC Discord server, right? So you have our CEP. Okay. So in CEP, you just go and you talk about the fact that you need a team member, and well, people will be in your shoes, and they will reach out to you, obviously. And even if you don't get the team member, then yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so it happens that sometimes you may not find your team member, and but that's fine. I mean, IBC Discord server is as of now there are over 3,000 people, 3,100 people, and you'll get your team member over there. So let me just start with the login process. Deepak at ibc.media. Yes, I'm not a robot. Okay, so I've kind of already done the application in a testful way. I've just tested it. If you are logging in for the first time, you will just see apply in this Alt Hack submission. So this is how it will look like. So you will start with your personal information, your name, right? Your phone number. So right, like my number is right. And the country you are, I've already chosen developer, whichever suits your case. You could be a developer, you're a student, so you're free to choose your option. And similarly, the state, the city, the social links if you want to put, and your interest, right? And then you go to the next section where you put your professional details, like name of your organization. So for example, I am working with IBC Media. Domain is education technologies, blockchain, total years of experience, let's say 2.
Deepak, you can explain this like from a student's perspective, such as the college. That will make more sense.
Yes. So name of your organization, you will put your college name here, right? For example, if I am from VIT, so I will put VIT. Let's say I'm from VIT Hyderabad. So I will put VIT Hyderabad. And domain, obviously, education, and technologies that you are interested in is basically blockchain. And the number of experience that you have, it could be 0. That will be totally fine. That's not a problem. So that's how to fill this. You fill this professional details, and the next page will be the skills page. Now, over here, page is for us to understand how many of you, the amount of work each one of you has to put in. Let's say I can't code, or I can code a bit, or can code very fairly, can code very well. So that's the amount of effort that we'll be working and putting in with you while you are doing the development, while you are in the development phase, right? What is your specialty skill set? You can choose blockchain, you can choose full stack if you already know, have worked on front and back end, or if you are just working on one, you have worked on back end, then you can choose that. If you have some gaming experience, you can choose that. If you are focused on UI UX, you can do that. Or you want to choose blockchain because you have been part of IBC and you want to grow at the same time, then yeah, you can choose blockchain. Feel free to do that. The languages that you are aware of, obviously we have Rust here. Right now in IBC program, we'll be working on Rust. If you know Solidity, then you can choose Solidity as well. If you know Rust, you can choose that. C++, C, we have Python, Java. So choose whichever fits your case. Which of the following best describes you? You are a solo hacker who doesn't have a team. You are a solo hacker looking for a team. You have a hacker with a team, an hacker with a team recruiting more members. So whichever case suits you. For example, if you are a solo hacker who doesn't, so this is a case which is kind of focused on the people who are already building with us. When I say building, as in who are participating in our hackathons, these are code developers. So this option is basically for them. But for student developers, we have these options where it says solo hacker looking for a team, you are a hacker with a team, or you are hacker with a team recruiting more members. So this kind of gives us an idea that you are solo hacker or you are a hacker with a team, but you need more members. So that gives us the opportunity to reach out to you and discuss with you and try to get you more members in your team, right? Because there would be a lot of people, some of the people who might not have a team, and we will pitch in for you and help you get that team member for you. So this is the team foundation. This is pretty much the same like the Google form many of you have attended. If you are not aware, that's not a problem. So as a team, you have to come up with your team name. Let's say my team would be IBC Media, okay? And member count, C3 is the number that you have to come up with, because the kind of work that we come and do during the development phase requires at least 3 members to do that. So the 3 is the number that you have to look out for. If you're a 2-member team, then you can just choose that option that I discussed earlier. What will happen is it will try to allocate as a 3rd member to you. At the same time, if you choose that option, you can also go to the Discord server, as I discussed earlier, and go and say that you're looking for a team member, and somebody will definitely come and get in touch with you, as they would also be looking for a team, which, because this has already happened with us in previous CEPs, many people have come and started working together through our Discord server. They came in touch for the first time and they started working together. So that's how generally it works with CEP. You can definitely go and ask for team members, and somebody will uh, try to get in touch with you, and become a team member. And that's how you should basically also look at it, because networking is a very important aspect of entire blockchain ecosystem, because it gives you an opportunity to not just, not just be focused on what you are trying to build, but also gives you uh, an, an inlet into what the other new person that you're starting to work with, what they have in mind, and that might actually help your project in a huge way. So how did you hear about this hackathon? So IBC Alt Hack is the first choice that you can choose here. We are also updating the specifics, like if you are from IBC Alt Hack Chennai or Alt Hack Hyderabad or Alt Hack Vizag, you will start getting these options very soon. But as of now, if you're doing it right away with me, you can just choose IBC Alt Hack here. What is your primary motivation to participate in the hackathon? The questions are quite, the answer options are quite simple. It could be experience, it could be networking, it could be recruitment, incubation, others. So basically, when you put this information, it kind of gives us the, when we look at this data later on, then we want to see that if you have chosen recruitment, then we might see how you have progressed through the entire CEP program. For example, you completed your module 1, you completed your module 2, you started working with us in module 3. So when we go and look at the data, and then we see that, okay, person X has chosen, let's say, Francis had chosen recruitment as an option. So we will see the progress that Francis has made in the three modules. Did he participate in module 1? Did he participate in module 2? Is he building with us? Has he completed his project in module 3? So if he has done all of those, then definitely you will be in our A+ list for us to try to get in touch with recruiters out there and get your profile and your work experience that you have with us. We will kind of share it with them for them to give the opportunity to recruit you. So that's how this entire process works. But if you are, let's say, you are looking for an experience, you want to network. So let's say if you want to network, so tomorrow, if let's say you build, you do an amazing DApp, you build an application, and you are looking for a funding, or you want, to recruit more people to start your project in a bigger way, and we see that there's a lot of value in your project. Obviously, the sponsor track that you will be working with, those people will come and judge your project and value your project in the way, and see if see the quality of the project. And then obviously these data then helps us to, again, we will see the progress that you have made, the kind of project you have built. Then in working with the jury, we will try to get you to the right person, the right investor. And a lot of times what happens is, if you have done a brilliant job in building something, let's say you have challenges from our sponsor tracks, right? Sponsors. So if you create something beautiful, they just hire you immediately. I mean, if you solve a problem for them, they want to recruit you immediately. I mean, no questions asked. A lot of hackathons out there, people, have solved a lot of, like, we have done a lot of sessions with multiple sponsors, and a lot of these people who workshops with us, were hired because they participated in a hackathon and solved a problem for that blockchain project. So this also gives you an opportunity to do that. So you build with us, you solve the problems, and then obviously you get recruited. I mean, that's the best, most simple, straightforward way to go out there and get a job, a blockchain ecosystem job. So that was about the team foundation. Then you go to your team details. So let's say we have 3 members, right? So team member name 1. Let's say I would add Deepak.
So Deepak, sorry Deepak, there is one
Yes,
question which is asked by several people. I want to take that question here.
Yeah.
Whether this entry has to be done by everyone. So yes, the entry has to be done by, say for example, you are a team of 3 people. So this entry, please go back to the previous screen, Deepak.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody has to enter this, but then what you need to do, one of the 3 persons, and Avinash, please correct me if you think otherwise, one of the 3 people in the team will come and enter the team details here. For example, person A, person B, person C, they all are part of team 1. So the entry, your registration in the application has to be done for person A, person B, person C, but one of the 3 people can come and enter the team detail as team 1. And if the person A is doing, then he will mention the name of the team B and team C, person B and person C. If person B is entering, then he is of course part of the team. Then he will need to add as team members, which Deepak will show you as person A and person C. I hope that clarifies. Yeah, Deepak.
Yes, sir. So absolutely. So I mean, that was exactly the point that I wanted to mention here, is basically when I am entering the, well, let's say I'm adding Deepak Chaudhary here, right? I might be mistaken with the surname spelling. Sorry for that, Deepak, if I'm wrong. But the point is that if I am Deepak Singh and I'm adding Deepak Chaudhary here, and his contact details and his email and LinkedIn profile, then Deepak Chaudhary need not add the same things, right? Because his data is already now in our platform, then we don't need the duplication. It's waste of time, and it's waste of resource of yours also. So what I will do is, let's say I am Deepak Singh, right? So I'll just put my name first, or I will put Deepak Chaudhary's name first, and then similarly the third person, I would say Praveen Thakur's name over here, right? So let's say I started with Deepak Chaudhary, then I add the second team member. Okay, it'll ask me to just fill the let me just demonstrate this. Okay, mandatory fields. I hope I am putting this 99624057559. LinkedIn profile, email deepak@ibc.media. Let me see if they are adding it right now. Okay, I think LinkedIn is also compulsory, so let me just put that 624057559. Deepak@ibc.media, and then LinkedIn profile. Let me see, LinkedIn/Deepak.c. I don't even know if that's accurate. Okay, what is the problem here? Okay, 624 59. So, okay, let me just try. And let me just go and look up for my LinkedIn. Okay, I don't know if my LinkedIn how is. Okay, I think it'll just be. Yeah. So the reason that it was taking time was because it wants a valid response from you guys. So just make sure that all the responses that you put is valid. All right. So over here, if you have already been given a track, then you will choose that track. So the people who were given Chingari, they can use Chingari. The ones who were given unique, they will choose unique. Then ones who were given polka dot, they will choose polka dot, right? And similarly, the theme could be theme you can choose as with respect to, let's say, if you took a polka dot problem and then one of the themes that fits in, we have already discussed it in Chennai, but the students who are new here, you can just go and choose your theme. Let's say if you have a project in mind, then you can definitely go and choose the theme from here. Let's say if you're working on Chingari, then you can choose any of it. I mean, this could be fairly complicated for people who are joining us for the first time, but if you have any doubts, then you can definitely go and reach out to us on our Discord server. Right? So what I will do now is that there are two options here, if you can see, register your track interests and exit. And then the next is proceed to idea submission. So what I'll do is I'll just register my track interest, right? And then I will exit, because idea submission is what we will do when we start with the building phase. We will be progressing towards it, but as of now, what we will do is we'll just register our track interest and do it. So what happens is we have the database, and then we'll start working on those projects. And then what happens is, as with the teams, all the teams who may not have 3 members, who have team of 2 members or 1 member, so we will reach out, try to fix that as well in this entire process. So as of now, what I'll do is register your track interest and exit. So that's what I will do, and this is done. So the thing is that you can always go back and just change the, let's say your team members have, uh, you want to update the data and your team members have changed or somebody couldn't join us. So you can do all of that later on as well. You can just go view your application, view your application, and then update the same if that is required in the later case, right? You can just go and edit it in the team details. Now, coming to the most important part of why we are doing this, as Praveen sir has already touched upon it, this is mandatory for you to do. I mean, the fact that your database has come in our system will be compulsory for us to provide you certificates, right? So even if you don't have a team as of now, you are a 1 member or a 2 member team right now, you have to go and fill your details right away. We are expecting all the responses to be done by tomorrow. So like I have explained it now, I know a lot of you would already be doing it, but if you are not, then make sure that you do right after this session. It'll just take a couple of minutes, so you don't need to
Deepak,
spend
there
any more
is
time.
Deepak, there is
Right
one
on it.
catch here. One
Yes, sir.
catch here. So while track selection can be done by everybody, as a team, but then we will be assigning you to a sponsor. Okay. So the first thing is that once we have, please save the data of the team members, and once we have the data of the team, then we will be working. In fact, we work very closely in the backend with our sponsors, and accordingly we assign you a sponsor. So somebody can be assigned to Polkadot, somebody could be assigned to Chingari, somebody could be assigned to Unique Network, right? So that assignment you have to, in fact, that is how we have done in Chennai Alt Hack also. The same process we will follow here. For people who have got the sponsors allocated in Chennai, those sponsor allocations will continue. But for people who are doing this team formation for the first time here, their sponsor allocation will be done by IBC Media. So what you should do right now, that you should continue and enter details up to your team formation, and wait for us to come back to you with the sponsor allocation, and then you complete the process. Deepak, that makes sense?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So if you have been given a sponsor by IBC Media, then you just choose that sponsor. If you have not been given the sponsor, then just choose the sponsor of your choice. But we will be looking at the data and allocating your sponsor. So the people who are choosing the sponsor for the first time, like Praveen sir has mentioned, there could be some changes in that. But that's a process that will happen eventually. You don't need to worry much about it. But the most important aspect right now is that you go and sign up, right? And it's quite simple. It'll just take a couple of minutes and you'll be done with it. So just do that as soon as possible. Okay, let me just address a few questions here. While signing up, given it is just returning error, even all my details. Yeah, so that happens is if your number might not be filled here, right? So just make sure that your numbers are filled. Just look, some or the other thing you might have missed. That's why that error is showing. Otherwise, it won't show the error. So just make sure that all the mandatory fields are chosen. Sir, what is track selection? Please explain it. So track selection is basically the sponsors that IBC team is working with. As of now, we have Chingari Robonomics, Chingari, Polkadot, and obviously Unique Network. So these are the tracks that on whom these are the companies that we are working with to build projects, and they have a lot of let me just show you an example of what I'm saying here and the more details that you can also gather, right? So, I'll share you the Notion page. So what happens is that you can just go and access it right then and there. You will get all the information. Yeah, so basically here are the tracks that we have. Obviously, these are mentioned in the platform, but I'll just share the link. Check out the information track slash sponsor information. So for each of the sponsors, there's a problem statement that these guys have given for their blockchain. Some of them have asked them to, be free and build a project. For example, Polkadot, their challenge is an open challenge. You can just go choose one of the themes and build a project on the same. And the themes could be, you could be working on tooling, you could be working on DAO, you could be working on DeFi or NFT. It's totally up to you. So that's one example of the challenge that we have. Then secondly, we also have Chingari Technorhythm. So in Chingari, they have certain themes where where there are multiple challenges: challenge 1, challenge 2, and challenge 3, and each challenge has a theme. So you have to complete those themes. We will come to that. I mean, these are a little. The challenges are basic when you talk about challenge 1 and challenge 2. But for you as of now, it's not something that you need to worry. But obviously, you will need to refer to these resources, right, while you are filling the team information on the site. So make sure the link that I've shared, you go and access it. So this is the Alt Hack 4, which is live as of now. If you want to go and check out the YouTube videos that we did from Chennai, then you can go and do that. And similarly, we have Unique also. You can go and access their information and resources. Yeah, this will kind of help you in understanding uh, while you're choosing the tracks. So feel free to, if you have not been allotted a sponsor, the track sponsor, then you can feel free to just take a choice, take an option of your choice. But yes, we could change it for you later on if we think that your project would be better on some other track. I mean, we'll work with you to make sure that you choose the right track while you're doing your project, right? Let me just again go back to Q&A. Can 4 members be in a team? Just stick to 3 members. Okay, I know that all of your friends want to just come and start working. I would suggest the other one member can start working with some other team. If you are aware of the other members, then you can get in touch with them, or just say that you need another team and you need 2 more members, then somebody from Discord will get in touch with you. Next question is, this process has to be done by all members present in the team or only one? I think we have already addressed it. So only one member has to do it because it will be just a repetition of data. One member can fill the details of all the people, including himself or herself, right? So other members don't need to fill that. The member should be from IBC Media currently participating people, or can choose anyone from college. All right, so there are two things to this question, right? One is that uh, you don't necessarily need to have a team member who's part of IBC Media, but when you choose someone from the college, you need to understand that they should know how to build a project, right? But that for that to happen, if they already know, well and good, you can start working with them right away. But if they don't, then what I would suggest is you ask them to come and participate in these sessions, so that when you're working together, your person, the other friend, is not left behind, and they know exactly what they're trying to achieve, right? I'm a single now. How can I form a team? I think that we have already discussed. Which track have do we choose? If you have not been given a track, I've already shared the link in the chat here. Just go and refer to the resources and take a track of your choice. And later on, if we think that track is right for you, then we might not in. But if we think you can do better in a different track, then we'll try to upgrade that for you. Okay, guys. Any other questions we have? If not, then I think uh, uh, we kind of touched upon all of it. But if there are any further questions, then you know where to reach us. Especially, you can just go and post your queries on Discord, and our team will reach out to you. Praveen, sir, anything else you would like to add?
No, no, Deepak, I think I'm good from my side, guys. Happy building and happy learning. Please, of course, we will talk more. I think it's already late now. I don't want to take more time. We will be continuing with some leaderboard of the students, looking at various activities that you do here, and all these leaderboards are going to be very vital for all the potential employers to see, and understand you. So I think please participate in wholeheartedly. This is for your own good. So thank you so much, and thank you for being a part of today's CP session.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very important point, because guys, we look at each and everything that you're doing, from asking questions over here to responding to questions that are asked by the speakers. We are tracking each and everything, because that's how we basically judge how much energy we as a IBC team want to put with you, because we reciprocate to your own level of interaction, right? If you are very interactive, if you're very up for the challenges that we throw at you, up for the, you interact with us while we ask questions, and you just raise your hand and do all of that. So we keep a track of all of that, all the names we know. If I mean Don't be in a don't have a doubt that we don't know who are active and who are interacting. We know all of it. Even in Alt Hack Chennai we knew, and right now also we know. So make sure that you are as interactive as possible, as responsive as possible, and as hardworking as possible, because that's where all the fun lies. Okay, last question I'll take. Sir, will we get the recorded video of the session? It would be great for revisiting this later. Yeah, absolutely. We'll upload it on YouTube. You can check it out tomorrow. We'll share the link with you of this session. All right, guys. I think that's about it for today. First of all, I want to before I end, I want to thank Praveen sir and Avinash sir. I think he has left. But I want to thank him for taking out the time, and obviously Praveen sir for taking out the time and attending and being with us for the entire session. And without doubt to Deepak Chaudhary. Guys, you'll be working very closely with Deepak Chaudhary. Make sure that, especially the technical sessions, obviously when you start building, you'll be interacting with him one-on-one, and he'll be keeping you guys on your feet while you do the building process with us. So it's going to be a fun journey, everybody. I know you are excited. I know some of you might be nervous. Some of you might be just stuck with the fact that you are getting certificates. Trust me, the focus has to be that you have to come and build with us something brilliant, something amazing, something aspiring. And if you do that, certificate is the last thing that you would be excited about. Trust me, there would be much, much more things lying in front of you uh, other than certificate. So certificate is just a huge impetus for this entire process. But with certificates, you'll have massive other things that will just give you a lot of surprises, financial, emotional, and obviously career wise. So make sure that you're just not doing this for the certificates. You do this for your own uh, career upliftment and also knowledge upliftment. Once again, thank you all for joining in, and have a great night. We'll again catch you tomorrow, same time at 7 p.m. with a lot of more exciting knowledge and experiences. Thank you all. Have a great night. Thank you, sir.